件触达，同时汇聚京津冀、内蒙古、新疆、宁夏等区域数万批绿色算力，构建国内超大规模跨域协同的智能算力网络。通过异构资源智能调度技术，让塞北的风、西北的光化为首都 AI 创新的澎湃动力。这里不仅是算力的枢纽，更是产业的引擎。平台搭载自主可控的算力调度系统，支撑万亿级参数大模训练，科学计算与机器人具身智能研发。海淀区76款备案大模型，26家 AI 独角兽在此加速进化。赋能智能制造、智慧城市与生命科学，培育壮大新质生产力。海淀区将持续优化产业生态，创新推出算力券、数据券、模型券等政策，进一步拓宽支持范围，增强支持力度，鼓励算力伙伴参与平台建设，共同打造东数西算战略标杆。这里，每一度绿电都在重塑 AI 未来。2025中关村论坛，让我们共同见证全球智能革命的绿色枢纽正式启航。
正如视频所见，北京人工智能公共算力平台将构建跨域协同的智算网络，有效破解算力供需匹配难题。接下来，让我们以热烈的掌声，有请北京市发展改革委党组副书记、副主任林建华先生，北京市科委中关村管委会副主任刘卫华女士，海淀区委副书记杨仁全先生，京能集团副总经理关天刚女士，呼和浩特市政府党组成员、内蒙古和林格尔新区管委会主任朱建国先生，新疆兵团第13师新兴市党委副书记、副政委苏新立先生，河北省张家口市副市长刘金仓先生，新疆维吾尔自治区克拉玛依市政府副秘书长，以及来自北京移动、北京联通、北京电信、华为云、火山云、无问新琼、并行科技、中明能源等单位的代表上台，共同启动北京人工智能公共算力平台生态网络。请各位嘉宾把手放置在大屏幕上，面向观众。我们一起倒数3个数：3、2、1。让我们以热烈的掌声祝贺北京人工智能公共算力平台生态网络正式启动。请各位嘉宾向前一步，合影留念。请各位嘉宾台下落座。谢谢观众。法信法律基座大模型是在最高人民法院部署下，由人民法院出版社研发的自主可控行业基座大模型。作为国家级法律人工智能基础设施，将广泛赋能法律行业的创新发展。接下来，有请人民法院出版社副总编辑、人民法院电子音像出版社社长林志农女士上台，进行法信法律基座大模型合作发布。
尊敬的江泽民主席、杨林平副院长，尊敬的经委副司长、康湘武司长，尊敬的各位领导、各位嘉宾、媒体朋友们，今天 大家下午好。今天非常高兴能够站在全球科技创新交流合作的盛会上，向各位嘉宾隆重介绍利用新一代人工
for the global technologies, and also to introduce you how to use the latest generations of technologies to empower the large language models. Researching on the legal-based large language models is one of the major actions that we are going to take to implement General Party Secretary Xi Jinping's effort on innovation. We are also going to actively integrate ourselves with the judicial work. Moving into the future, Chinese legal work is going to be integrated with the artificial intelligence. The industry is going to be entered into the new chapters for the artificial intelligence. The People's Publishing Houses of the People's Court is going to develop and build our own law-based large language model and corporations. On the other side, while we are promoting the law-based artificial intelligence, it is going to be content-based and professional technology-led. The large language model is going to be trustworthy, and it's also going to be integrated with the pre-training model stage with the artificial intelligence data from the People's Supreme Court, where we have integrated for around 320 million articles, where we have also included 3.67 trillion words, while promoting the integrations of the LLM and the legal industry. We believe that these large language models is going to play a major role in the pre-training sessions, and it's also going to become one of the major fine-tuning stages we have worked on over 10 years, representing the professionalism of the legal practices. In the inputs and outputs sessions, it is going to be the whole chain legal compliances, and we are also going to achieve the artificial intelligence-based security platforms. These security platforms, while building the large language models and evaluation platforms, we are going to become content-based and also the technological-based, and among other different power planning systems, generating a systematic integration and supporting systems. These large language models, by applying the laws and legals, we are going to combine the professionalisms between the legal practices and also the large language models. Up until today, it has already been used in the artificial intelligence-aided treating systems, and it's also been enlarging our works in the judicial work. The large language model has also been greatly supported by the technological associations in Beijing and the Zhongguancun Management Committee. Based on the basic models and coordinations from the basic large language models, we are promoting the scenario-based development, deepening the scenario applications, and building ecosystems. The applications involves assisting all kinds of the legal documents, assisting in the administration reconciliations, as well as assisting the root accident judicial systems, as well as other different scenarios. This is also going to be a technological-based promotions for the development of the industry. It's also going to be benefiting for the industrial development. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, artificial intelligence is going to be the tide of the time. Its applications in the legal framework is going to become deeper and deeper. The coordinations means that this is an opportunity as well as a challenge. No matter how this technology develops, we are going to deepen its existing rules and positioning ourselves in the legal work. And it's also going to be one of the major consultants for the legal professionals. Finally, on behalf of the development teams, I'd like to thank all the stakeholders and partners who support the project. Let's work together to use the legal powers for the justice and use the light of innovations for the mutual development. Thank you all.
谢谢林社长。接下来我们将聚焦人工。
Thank you so much, Chief Editor Lin. We are going to move for the young powers of the artificial intelligence. We are going to give the floor to Mr. Chen Yushan, who is from the MIT Technology Review, to jointly launch the 100 pioneers of artificial intelligence. Respectable leaders, distinguished guests, distinguished experts, good afternoon. I'm really honored to be participating in the 2025 GCC Forum annual conferences. And this is a very important forum to share with you the MIT Technology Review. During the Spring Festival time, the Chinese artificial intelligence community has open source for one of the major reasoning models. We have predicted that this has dropped a bombshell on the first day of its release. The experts from Silicon Valley has also noticed that this is China's major contribution to the world. This great gift from China make the world notice the artificial intelligence's talents has always got a Chinese background. The professors of artificial intelligence have actually published 6 articles of Twitter, and it is this content that we are hoping that the Chinese artificial intelligence communities could gather the insights across the world. AI 100 artificial intelligence focuses on the backbones of the forces of the artificial intelligence under the age of 40. They are not only promoting the cutting-edge technologies of the scientific research, but also promoting the industrial applications. And it's also effectively combining the innovative practices in the technology and engineering. With a full sort of the juries, we should comprehensively thinking about its artificial intelligence contributions, technological innovations, and also its industrial influences. So here on this time, we'd like to be gratitude for these times of review times. And for those of the AI 100 pioneers, please look at the screen. Let's give them a big hand to congratulate the AI 100 young pioneers. For those of the pioneers who has been selected, half of them has chosen to be working on the research and development field. And then 40% of them is coming from the industrial sectors, and also from the investment world. They are representing the real demand from the industry, and they are also trying to promote the integrations between the technologies and the real practices. And by combining the manual work with the brain powers, they are contributing to the development of artificial intelligence. From the perspectives of the candidates, more than half of the winners focuses on the field of artificial intelligence, including the ML, RL, NLP, CV, and multi-models. 1/3 of them is working on the frontline crossings, and it's also including some of this research and development in the field of cross-route, science, and other different aspects. Industrial applications has also been focusing on the key areas where the practitioners cares about, including the medicals, financials, and industrial scenarios. And it has also played a very important role in the social response, safeties, and moral behaviors, as well as pioneering into the innovations. MIT Technology Reviews, starting from the year 2012, December, it evaluated and reviews the trend of artificial intelligence, and it's also predicted what is going to be the next. And we have always been very kind to the by the beginning of 2024. We have always considered the tailor-made generative AI and video applications as one of the major areas. Multifunctional robots is going to be the trend where we are going to be focusing on. Starting from January this year, we are going to focusing on the generations of word, reasoning capacities, AI for science chips, and also it becomes one concept of the realities. At the same time, we have also seen that many Chinese model product companies has made progresses under the continuous explorations of the Chinese talents. MIT Technology Reviews has always become an observer for the leading technological trend in the world. It's also going to keep following and looking forward to every single promote and footprints of the Chinese artificial intelligence progresses. I hope the young pioneers who has been selected this time could promote the development of the Chinese artificial intelligence societies and help the research and development here in China. Thank you so much for the announcements of Mr. Li from the MIT Review. And we are hoping that all of the science and technological pioneers could be working on the high end of the technical peak. Now we are going to unveil the communities of the artificial intelligence. It is going to be organized by a special guest. We are going to give the floor to robots, Xiaohai. In order to better integrate the artificial intelligent life, Haidian District is building the world's first artificial intelligent innovation communities, and it's also trying to build the first innovation blocks where it can feel. Xiaohai is representing the district of Haidian. It's also representing the WIMS, the co-organizations of Haidian. Now we are going to give the floor to Xiaohai. Hello everyone, I am Xiaohao. On behalf of these Haidian artificial intelligent block communities, I'm here to welcome you. I played a lot of roles in the blocks. Around 40 years ago, we are pioneering into this field. In 2024, Haidian has laid the world's first artificial intelligent innovation block concept. For over 1 year, in a small areas covers around 53 square kilometers, Haidian has built a new innovation models. It's also pioneering for the new eras for the artificial intelligent operations. Robot drink stations. Let's buy a couple drink and take a sip of it. The drinks taste quite good. Scenarios like the artificial intelligent drinking stations has been located here in Haidian for multiple times. For example, I can use the XR phones to watch what is happening. I'm actually opening up the artificial intelligence's friendly communities. In these communities, I know a lot of business partners. iFriend Smart Communities is an integration between the talents, policies, and is also gathered for around 1.7 thousand talents. It's also going to be a community friendly for the young entrepreneurs and also communities for the exchanges, and it's also going to be a very friendly communities for the digital trends. Let's look at the crossroad of Dazhongsi. With the help of artificial intelligence, the taxi drivers can judge about whether or when it's going to be green. Through the 3D modelings and video algorithms, we can have a real-time understanding of the traffic flows and put to the artificial intelligent traffics and changing from people viewing the vehicles to the vehicles viewing the people. And the daily traffic has been upgraded by 24.8%. Up until today, Haidian has implemented the artificial intelligence into the 12 communities of Haidian, covering for around 300 community residents and providing the services to them. It's also going to be respond in a second, where the residents can keep up with every single questions. AI community workers is going to dispatch their missions and achieving a closed loop management. Who want to talk to Zhuge Liang? Please. How can you become a very smart person? actually become a very resourceful person, you need to think twice. You need to learn directly. In our campuses, we are building an all-immersive artificial intelligence scenarios. The artificial intelligence has been widely applicable to the sports, scientific trainings, and we are also trying to optimize in the training sessions. Every morning, I feel a little cough this morning. What's the color of the pillage? I can see that you have been dialoguing with the artificial intelligence doctors, right? You cough a little bit, right? You feel that you have a little fevers, right? I was dialoguing with the artificial intelligence doctors and I was synchronizing the informations with the workers. I'm actually working with the artificial intelligence communities. Using the algorithm powers, we are providing a real-time decision-making processes for the artificial intelligence doctors. This is also going to be a coordination between the artificial intelligence. For 365 days, a series of these technologies has been located here in terms of the research, entrepreneurs, development, health and cultures, and also the clothings. Our street started to think, and it's also going to become smarter as we are moving into the future. Thank you so much for your encouragement. And we are like to invite the District Mayor of Haidian District, Mayor Xiao Dan, to introduce us. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for the contributions for the artificial intelligence communities. In the past 1 year, we are building the artificial intelligence block, and we have also built a series of scenarios where it can be touchable and accessible. A lot of artificial intelligence products has been worked from the laboratories to us. Yes, today is also a very important launching ceremony for the artificial intelligent humanoid robots. Are you going to launch a series of the preferential policies or incentive policies? Yes, this year we are going to launch a series of the preferential policies from 5 aspects. The first one is the community constructions. In terms of fund management, we are going to allocate billions of yuans for supporting the powers. Second, in terms of the scenario-based, we are going to updating over 65 different regions and areas. And we are also going to pioneering into 6,700,000 square meters, exploring and expanded the Dongshan Technology Park. In terms of the phase 3, we are going to build the new data infrastructure, promoting the data exchanges, and facilitating the scenario-based development. Fourthly, we are in terms of the guarantees of the talents. We are going to use the artificial intelligence item 20s to be working on the innovation development. And fifthly, in the innovation promotions, we are going to promote the financial support and the financial operations and establish a green and technological credit approvals and operating a series of the license-based artificial intelligence stations. We upheld the concept of the openness and sincerities, and we hope that all the sectors of society will join us to build the artificial innovation block. That's wonderful. It sounds very inspiring. And moving to the future, what kind of scenarios should we be working on? Of course, artificial intelligence is going to be combined with the city development and also urban plannings. In terms of the emergency promotions, transportations, public works, and big health. Today, we are also pioneering into the artificial intelligence industries, and we kindly invite the investors in the artificial intelligence communities and also the innovators of the artificial intelligence to join hands to be working on these communities. What a wonderful news! Let's come and join us. That ends up the launching ceremony today. Goodbye, everyone. This is a very wonderful artificial intelligence dialogue between the human and computers. Let's keep focusing on the development of artificial intelligence and working on supporting the communities. Now we are going to give the floor to Mr. Wang Zhongyuan to launch the artificial intelligence's large language models, BAAI. Please, Mr. Wang Zhiyuan, please. Respectable leaders, distinguished guests, I'm really honored to answer the questions and to introduce you the Zhiyuan Artificial Intelligence Centers, as well as our concept in the large language models. We all know that this is the first time the artificial intelligence has become a new turning point in the histories. The launching of ChatGPT and also the artificial intelligence before that was usually called the weak artificial intelligence because it's being trained for the specific scenarios. The model it trained cannot be generalized. But for the AlphaGos, for example, it can beat the World Go campaign, but it cannot solve the problems of the artificial intelligence driving or the medical treatment. With the LLM moving from the laboratories to the industries, it is possible for us to promote the development of artificial intelligence. It's because of the artificial intelligence models and technologies. We are also going to promote the humanoid robots to moving from the 1.0 eras to the 2.0 eras. Therefore, there's always an overlap in the artificial intelligence. In the areas of the 2.0s, we need to develop the artificial intelligence, and it's also encountered many bottlenecks. The first one is that the hardware is still far from mature. It has a higher cost, and it also blocks into its actual applications. Its data is also limited, and the data is also lacking trainings, and it's also quite weak. And in order to break this, we need to formulate circular theories. To solve these questions, every single breakthrough needs to be made. For example, for the autological companies, we need to lower down the cost of the hardware, and in terms of the data, we need to co-build these platforms, and for the widely applications, and we also need to invite all parties of the industry to find out the most sustainable scenarios for its applications. As the largest large language models research institutions in our country, I'd like to introduce you the BAAI's facilities and also its contributions. Sometimes large language models has very several different issues. It's not easy to use, not very smooth in the using process is not very helpful. So we are also welcoming the other ChatGPT moment for the artificial intelligence. For it's not easy to use while we are applying it, its applications is quite high. We are also seeing that in this industry, the company also launches a series of the artificial intelligence models. The hardware companies can only be used on these different softwares. There are other different SIM softwares, and also we can also see a new development of the hardware companies and software companies. Today, I'm really honored to be here to announce that BAAI is going to be able to coordinate the RoboOS as the first open source robot AI. RoboOS as one of the first cross-body cooperation network. It can achieve the cross-scenario multitask very highlight deployment. It is an end-cloud collaborative framework. And in the cloud itself, we can embed our clouds, and it's also going to be deployed the BAAI. And it's going to be similar to the ChatGPT models or other VLM models. These large language models can break them down into the subtasks and operating and exact in the same scenarios. And actually for these syllables, it's also closely connected to the body itself and obeys the obstructions. This kind of a coordination framework, it means that we can use the BAAI for effective communications. And for this, it is also going to enable the actual alignment. Such a framework can also be delayed on the humanoid robots. It's also going to be deployed on the single-arm robots, double-arm robots, or the wheel-based robots. It's also going to promote the embodied artificial intelligence itself, from the single equipment allocations to the multiple equipment allocations. This coordination of work from the cloud to the actual scenarios means that we are going to be making the decisions on the development, breaking the perspectives, and achieving and crossing the barriers. In the robot OSs, we actually pioneering into the new eras for the development. In the Lego OS, we need a very all-powerful brains where we can integrate the three major capacities, including the transformations and also the predictions of the trajectories. These capacities is going to be enable our giant brains to see, perspect, and understand the world and doing some dimensions. It's also going to be definitely it can be getting some of these evaluation results from the international evaluation reports, and it's also achieving the SOAD levels. Without further ado, let's take a look at what robot AI can do. And we send the code from our robot AI to the three different robots. The prompt that we give them is that I want to eat the fruits. I want to have some of the apples. Please put the apples into the cup near the nearest me. We can also see here that through the artificial intelligence given deployment, the three robots can coordinate in order to complete such a task. And it needs all of us to attend the launching site, adopting the different perspectives and helping us to better understand the robots and robot brain. So that's the reason why we have adopted the different perspectives to further interpret what kind of functions it can achieve. We can see that apart from full-field missions, there is no single voice exchanges. We can also see the video demonstrations here. Xiaoyuan, I'm going to ask you a question. What is the capital of Shandong province? The capital of Shandong province is the city of Jinan. Xiaoyuan, please fetch the milk tea for me. Xiaozhi, please step away. Please step forward, and then step back. We can notice the balance for this robot. It has its own robot brain to remote control it, but we cannot demonstrate more and more time relations, and we can actually focusing on the actual cases. You can follow the official account of BAAI Zhiyuan Intelligence. Today, I'm really honored to announce that we are going to open the sources for the Zhiyuan robots. And these are some of the principles that we've been sticking to over the past years. Open source, cooperation, openness, and embracing the world. This is also one of the major steps for us to achieve the 具身 artificial intelligence. So here we are also extending an invitation where we are hoping more and more artificial intelligence could be used on the ontological companies and model companies to be working on the robot brains and infuse the artificial intelligence in this regard. Please follow our WeChat account for more information. Thank you. Thank you so much, Zhongyuan, for your launching. We have witnessed a series of major results. We can see the city of Beijing is working on the upfront of artificial intelligence, demonstrating the technical breakthroughs, the findings of the basic layers, and also breaking the ecological infusions. With integrated patterns, we are trying to work in these areas. Now we are presenting the result announcement. Now we are going to give the floor to Mr. Huang Tiejun from the Zhiyuan Artificial Intelligence. Mr. Huang, the floor is yours. Thank you so much, Mr. Tan, for your kind introduction. This is the first time I attended this forum. It's also going to be a very pioneering forum. I am the president of Zhiyuan Artificial Intelligence Researching Institute. Today, we have a lot of distinguished guests who's going to be communicating with you. We are going to have the keynote report. We are going to invite Mr. Yusuf Spagis, the academicians from U.S. Academy of Science as well as U.S. Academy of Engineering and also the academicians from Europe's Academy of Science to give us a report about pioneering into the industrial development of artificial intelligence opportunities and challenges. We are going to give the floor to Joseph.
Shall I speak?
Hello. Yes, Professor.
Yes. Okay. So, hello everybody. It's a pleasure to give this talk on industrial AI and its perspectives. To start, I will say that ICT and AI have developed in parallel with little interaction until recently. And the AI has played a marginal role in the digital revolution. Here you see digital convergence, that is the trend to integrate computers in different types of applications and see the progression, commercial applications, telecommunication networks, embedded systems. And it is anticipated that in this evolution, AI should play an important role to develop intelligent systems, autonomous systems, and I think that AI success will be judged by its contribution to building intelligent systems, achieving so the ultimate stage of digital convergence. Now, I would like to say that AI is still in its infancy. Despite these impressive results we see today, it only gives us the elements to build intelligent systems, but don't have the principles and techniques to synthesize them. And AI today focuses on assistance mainly, while its future application will require continuous interaction with little or no human intervention. So I think that there are three different ways to use AI systems. Today we have AI systems. You ask questions, you get answers. It's ChatGPT, DeepSeek. And then we need also for industrial applications monitors that monitor a system, make predictions of critical situations, analyze critical situations, and of course, the focus should be on autonomous AI. We need AI agents that continuously interact with the systems. And I think that the AI industrial revolution has only just begun, and its realization will depend largely on our ability to develop AI-enabled agents to build autonomous systems. Now, I would like to make clear that there is no single AI. There are different AI approaches, different AI applications. And here in this diagram, that is the Gartner's hype cycle, you see the degree of maturity of different solutions. So here, computer vision is a mature technology. It is being used already. Here you see autonomous vehicles, and you see other AI technologies that are still not mature. So it's clear, it's very important to understand this, that there is no single AI and you have solutions of different degree of maturity. The other fact that I would like to emphasize is that currently we have general purpose AI, and there is a huge potential for domain-specific applications. That's what I show here. We need AI for science, AI for economy and society, AI for engineering and industry. It's clear that AI we have today cannot be applied, for instance, to make analysis of scientific data. You should specialize this. Or even if I have AI for autonomous driving, this cannot be applied to tele. You need the domain-specific AI. This is clear. In the AI industrial revolution, I think autonomous systems will play an important role. I hope you understand that autonomous systems stem from the need to further automate existing organizations by replacing humans with autonomous agents, as this is envisioned by the Internet of Things. Autonomous systems support the paradigm of intelligent system that goes beyond machine learning systems. I hope you understand this. And these are complex systems that are often critical, and they are composed of agents that should manage sets of possibly conflicting goals, should be able to interact with unpredictable cyber-physical environments, and also to harmoniously collaborate with humans. It's clear that today the realization of autonomous vision requires intensive use of AI systems, which, unlike ICT systems, are not explainable. We cannot predict on the basis of mathematical models their behavior, and the consequence of that is that their reliability cannot be guaranteed as we can guarantee the reliability of everyday objects, services we use today. So, and I think that this is illustrated in particular by the case of autonomous driving systems that have been promised. We've been promised to see fully autonomous cars by 2020. This is not the case, and there is a lively debate about their safety. So what is important is safety of AI systems. And today there is this is the subject of even international summits, deliberations of the UN, and this is not, we cannot guarantee the safety of AI systems as we can do for traditional ICT systems. Something else that should be emphasized is that some try to divert the debate on safe AI by claiming that AI risks should be evaluated on the basis of human-centric subjective properties. So big tech companies talk about AI alignment, responsible AI that is characterized by a set of properties that is difficult or even impossible to assess. And all I would like to say here is that this approach leads to a dead end, because you cannot guarantee human-centric properties today for AI, since we don't understand the decision-making mechanisms that underlie human intelligence. Now, in my opinion, all the signs show that AI has reached a kind of plateau today, and its use and impact on real economy is really limited. And this is due, of course, to insufficient reliability, but also this is a matter of strategy of the big tech companies, the American big tech companies, that prioritize the rapid adoption of conversational technologies by the general public to just to occupy the territory, I think, and they are pushing for gigantism. They adopt a brute force approach that requires huge investments. And I think this is also discouraging competing companies, countries that do not have the same investment capacity. However, I think that this strategy also involves some serious economic risks, and economic analysts warn against the imbalance between the volume of investments and the return of these investments, to the point that some people fear the bursting of financial bubble. Now, let me explain that the development of autonomous systems requires a marriage between traditional ICT technology and AI, and this poses some non-trivial technical problems. I'm not going to discuss this in detail. One problem is how to build trusted systems from untrusted components that are AI components. Another important problem is how to move from correctness at design time to correctness at runtime. You see, when we develop a traditional system, we try to guarantee its properties when we finish its development, and the system does not evolve. And here there is a strong requirement for evolvability. A very important issue is how we validate autonomous systems, AI systems. Clearly now we have a shift from rationalism to empiricism because we cannot use mathematical models and reason about the behavior of these systems. There is a lot of debate when self-driving cars are safe enough. We need probably statistics, testing techniques that are not mature today. And of course, the lack of technical standards is a very, very important issue. If we don't have standards to estimate the risks and to enforce the application of some methodologies, we cannot accept autonomous systems. And here I would like to emphasize the position of the United States that sees standards as an obstacle to innovation. Uses, in fact, accepts self-certification. Self-certification meaning that a manufacturer will guarantee the reliability of their system. So Tesla guarantees the reliability of Teslas without any guarantee of an independent organization. Now, I think that there is a lot to be done to bridge the gap between automated and autonomous systems. We need to work to develop a new scientific and technical foundation. This will take some time. What I would like also to emphasize is that perhaps today we have hyper-intelligent systems that perform humans in performing a task. We can have a very good system that outperforms any human player in playing chess, but this cannot drive a car. I mean, autonomous systems require a combination of skills, and we don't have such systems today. Something else that is becoming important is the instance of a global regulatory framework. If we don't have such a framework, as I said, we will not accept the AI for critical decision-making systems. This is clear. And everybody agrees that we need such a framework, but there is no agreement on what can and should be regulated. What are the risks involved in using AI, and how can this be achieved in practice? Just to give you an example, there is today a divergence diverging positions between European Union and the United States when it comes to AI regulation. Probably you know that European Union have voted text, very complete AI regulations last year, and this the so-called risk management approach that requires, that is applied to all artifacts. In fact, that requires for high criticality systems, high reliability. Now, if we apply this text, it's clear that a lot of applications, autonomous application, AI applications, will not be accepted. We will stay with conversational AI. On the contrary, US regulations are less restrictive. They include just recommendations and guidelines, and they leave the hands of commercial AI developers free to do more or less, okay, they have some obligation to collaborate with the US authorities, that's all. And these regulations also are in line with the position of big tech companies that promote the principles of responsible AI and suggest that AI systems should not be evaluated on the basis of strictly technical criteria. So today the situation is the following. The chances of reaching an agreement on a global regulatory framework are slim, and I think that the US is taking advantage of its supremacy in conversational AI. They want to impose this self-regulating market-centric approach. Now, an important question is what China can do in that situation. I think that China has a broad industrial base and a unified domestic market, and is very well placed to develop more reliable AI that is better adapted to the needs of real economy, and particularly to achieve this transition from automated to autonomous systems. I think that China should focus on core technologies, its field of application to develop domain-specific solutions. And this is possible because China can draw on a wealth of data from its large and diverse industrial base. You can use this data to train systems to solve problems, industrial problems. And of course, also China can rely on data from a large community of smartphone users we have. Also, China should synergize state-owned companies per sector to produce the basic building block. There are a lot of building blocks that are missing in order to build industrial AI applications, powerful hardware components, platforms, methodologies, and tools. Now, it's very important also that China develops its own AI vision that should be different from the US vision. This is clear. And as I said, should leverage its strong industrial base to apply, to use on various applications from autonomous transport systems, smart cities, smart factories and farms, etc. And if China is successful in realizing this vision, I think that China would be able to take the lead in industrial AI, balance the strategic game of AI, and join forces with like-minded countries to regulate AI in a way that will reconcile the dual imperatives of science and technology development and safety in the interest of society. I will stop here, and I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. 好，那么下面呢，我们进入主题演讲环节。我们有4位大家熟悉的专家啊。首先呢，我们有请创新工厂董事长兼01万物CEO 李开复先生，给我们带来主题演讲《全球视角下的生成式 AI 展望》。有请开复。
Thank you. Respectable Party Secretary Zhang, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really honored to participate in the Zhongguancun Forum to share with you the latest development of artificial intelligence communities in the world and what is going to be my outlook of the artificial intelligence communities in the world. We all know that LLM has been a very important market. We can also see here that in the past 2 years, or even longer period of times, we can also see the intelligence of the artificial intelligence is still on the rise. On the left corners, we can also see that the reasoning cost is going to be 10 times lower every year. So for those large language models, it's not which is not good enough 2 years ago. Right now, it's already quite good, but we have all kinds of technologies. Right now, it is the pioneering years for the first years, but we all know that a few months ago, artificial intelligence has encountered a scaling law, where the Ilya comes on and talks about the scaling laws, because GPUs has already been developed to the limit where the data is far from enough. So the returns has been paid by the 10 times. Even if it is ultra large language models, you can also see on the right corners the GPT 4.0 was 4.5 was quite good, but for the ultra large language models, it is 500 times of the price of the DeepSeek. But we see a glimmers of the hope. So that is to say, scaling law is going to be changing the slow thinking patterns of artificial intelligence to the pre-training based scenarios where GPUs and more data is going to become smarter. The trend has been slowing down. The new models scaling laws means that we are thinking longer and we have better results. So from that point of view, the growth is quite rapid. The combinations of these different technologies means that the whole training is very interesting. We need to train students with the liberal art backgrounds to read all the mathematical problems, and training background of with the science background students with the very good literature abilities. We can also see the large progresses in the past few years. Now that everybody knows 6 months ago that if we take a step back, we need to train the students of the liberal art first and then train the students of the science back. So this is a very interesting scenarios, because artificial intelligence has been slowing down. Looking into the steps of artificial intelligence is actually accelerating, not slowing down. We might be remembering the ChatGPT 4 to ChatGPT 3 and 3 to 4.5. Every scaling takes around 2 years. Why? It's because we need the new algorithms. We need the people to train it. That is to say, we need the algorithms to train the new large language models and facilitating with the new model infrastructures and configure it with the GPUs and get more and more data. Today, we are into the very important eras where we can see that from OpenAI's Open 1 to Open 3, from DeepSeek R1 to DeepSeek R3, it takes 3 months. So from O1 to O3, it's like 3 months, one cycle. Because artificial intelligence learnings is based on the quick learnings, and it's not the humans inventing the new algorithms to let the artificial intelligence to learn. It is the AI have the abilities to reflect, and AI can teach AI. That is also to say, after a long time of thinking, AI becomes smarter and smarter. And for those large language models with less thinking models, we are going to use the ultra-large language models. This is actually a matching between the teachers and students. After the steerings, after the synchronizing of the data, we can also see the progresses of the model faster. Because it no longer needs humans to experience the bottlenecks. AI can train AI by itself. Recently, we've been talking about the DeepSeek. So I also want to share my observations of the DeepSeeks. The first observation is that it is a large language models which can reach in the reasoning thinkings, not relying on distillations, but it's relying on the public way of thinking, which is very shocking. Because OpenAI is dealing with its thinking chains. And the second observation I get is that it is very efficient. It is of a higher speed. And its speed have different things, but to be frankly and to be specifically, it is an Apple compared to an Apple. It should be quicker and better than the Apples in the United States, while it's 5 to 10 times cheaper. And on the left corners, I think it's of the most important. Open source is a important route to the future, while closed source is a dead end. Open source we are going to lead us to the future. If DeepSeek has not open source today, we can predict it won't have the futures. And we can also see that in the open source communities in the United States and all kinds of social medias in the United States, people are embracing the DeepSeek. There is no single OpenAI which is quite popular abroad. This is also coming from the close end of OpenAI and also the openness of OpenAI. This is also very important. Actually, at the lower right corner, we are going to welcome the China's ChatGPT moments. Around 9 months ago, I used to be predicted that we are very frustrated that in China we don't have ChatGPT models, we don't have a national level LLM. But right now, with the Chinese LLM, there is no single model stand-out. And we need the B2C models, we need all the flowers to blossom, we need every CEOs to ask their ITs to, why don't we have a large language models? Now they are speaking. The Chinese market awakened because the biggest bottleneck in making the LLM is the most difficult part. For example, if a pioneering or innovative company needs to educate the market, there is almost no possibility to succeed because education takes a quite long time and there are too many unpredictables. Today, for the DeepSeek, it educated all the B2C applications here in China. And in the eras of LLM, when it comes, we need to think of DeepSeek models because it's very strong. And if we want to implement it into the enterprises, we are going to have some of the considerations. That is to say, some of the bosses in the company might want to deploy it very locally. They don't want to expose all of their data, and they need their own API. And secondly, in terms of the application practices, many companies might need to have the internet search, and they also have the deep search functions. And for example, for those of the companies who can access to the company's database, they need to allocate the ERP, CRM. And this is also going to be quickly developed in terms of the software agents. And finally, a lot of companies still need the computers and still needs the local fine-tunings and also the pre-trainings. And based on this, in the past few months, we have made some of these adjustments. We are embracing the DeepSeek, and we are trying to come up our own solutions. For example, we are going to allocate our successful alignment. And for these kind of practices, it needs the industrial practices to deepen these technologies. And for these technologies, it actually requires a large language model company to do the integrations of the softwares. And finally, with the world embracing with the artificial intelligence, I'd like to talk about a concept where it has not been mentioned quite. DeepSeek has a huge question, that is to say whether if it's not the first-tier languages, it's not very prompt. Let's use the Russian language as an example. If you are seeing the llamas trading with the 0.313 data of the Russian language models, but if you are seeing some of the same places, for example, the Southeast areas or the Central areas or the African countries, it's harder to use. So I have a friend from Stanford who's working on the linguistics. You can also see that on the right corners, the large language models neglected 7,000 of the small languages. This is also accelerating these languages to go distinct. We are not going to see these graphs on the right side of the Cornell universities. This is a graph from the Cornell universities. You can see that each one of the companies, each one of the countries' value of the things can be demonstrated in the X and the Y axes. We can also see here that in the Western countries and in Americans, it should be reflected in this graph. The Asia countries, African countries, and the Central Asia countries, because of these neglections and because they cannot catch up with the artificial intelligence, they have deviations of their sense of values. It's quite necessary for each one of the country to have these opportunities to fine-tune their models. And in China, we are really lucky to have a lot of large language models doing the same things. But we still need to focusing on these small languages and working on these small languages in order to avoid them distinct. And we are also looking forward to cooperate with these countries and to come up with better solutions. So I think today, open source is a huge thing, where the DeepSeek is also below the I think the artificial intelligence is going to be exploding, and each artificial intelligence companies needs to figure out about how can they create their own commerce values and create the values for their customers. Thank you. Thank you, Kai-Fu Lee. Every time he brings a very eye-refreshing ideas. Second speaker, Mr. Wang Haifeng, who is from the Baidu. He's going to share with us the dawn of artificial general intelligence. Respectable leaders, distinguished guests, good afternoon. Today I'm going to share with you the dawn of general artificial intelligence. What is going to be the general artificial intelligence? So first and foremost, let's take a look back at the histories of the LLM. LLM is a history where we have been known in the 1950s. And before that, we still need to working on the artificial intelligence areas. And for the early stage technologies, it's time wasting, and it's also time consuming and labor consuming. And it needs a very professional understanding, the professional expert teams in a certain field to translate the knowledge he knows into the rules, and it was very inconvenient. The system is also quite hard to predict. Then it comes the statistic machine learning technology emerged, and we also have the deep. After that, we have the deep learning models. But we have multiple algorithms, and the different algorithms can solve the different problems. So that is to say, first and foremost, we need to address one of the major problems. We need to step on the algorithms shaping processes, and it's also quite difficult to see. Deep learning covers different areas. We are going to know that a set of learning infrastructures can bring different language models. So the generosities and the versatilities of the algorithms means that while we are solving the different problems, we still need to train the different models. And the models were not that general. So in the recent years, large language models has become and developed with a better versatilities. And one large language models can be used in the different fields. And almost at every single field, there are some of the fine-tunings in the field data, and also we should do some of the research and retrieval areas. We can see the manual to the automatic artificial intelligence with a better and better application models. So what is going to be our overview about general artificial intelligence? There are different dimensions. From the technical perspective, we are going to share the languages. It's also very important. One is the facilities of the capacities, the other is the technologies of the facilities, and I used to talk about the historic turning point of artificial intelligence, where we are going to share the different languages, different models, and different application scenarios. These facilities is becoming better and better. Now the LLM today is actually catching the eyesight of all the different communities. For the past 30 years, we have been experiencing language training processes, and we are doing it in a multiple segmented field, from the grammars to the segments, and right now the large language model, since its appearance, it solves one question after another. A lot of different types of the missions can be solved in one general artificial intelligence models. So it's becoming quite general and covers a lot of areas. It's very comprehensive. In the past few years, we are looking at the generative artificial intelligence. The generative artificial intelligence, the word generative is a totally correct word because it is representing a token. A token can be generative, and it does not represent its abilities. Now look at the current large language models. It covers different areas. It's also listed different words. There are some of the common words people actually think of. But actually, we need to think wider than this. the large language models we have at our hand is that while it has so many different abilities, while it has different models, we are hoping that it could have some of the basic abilities. For example, in the past few years, its basic capacity is becoming stronger and stronger. And using our analyzings in the field of artificial intelligence, we can discover that there are 4 abilities, which is quite important. It should be very basic, which is understanding, generation, logic, and memory. Let's take a look at one examples. And for example, one artificial intelligence is very good at writing. We are going to ask this large language model to write a recommendational articles of the articles which is called I and D10. So that is to say, after very deep thinking, artificial intelligence can recommend the reasons for us to use to read these articles. And this is its whole thinking process. We can also understand this topic and understand logic. After we think about it, so he start to retrievals because it's very important. We need to write recommendations of this book. It needs to first record the content and the themes of the book, and then it needs to lure the readers to step by step understand the themes. We can also see the clear logic here embedded. And in the end, it's about the memories. With a very limited times, I'm not going to read these articles for all of you, but we can see that the recommendation has very standing reasons. It's not only limited to the pillars. And there are some of these golden sentences where you can quote. And with the development of artificial intelligence, to sum it up very briefly, it is the 4 different fronts for the logics, understandings, memories, and reasonings is also getting stronger and stronger. In 2019, we also launched our own large language models up until last year. It's also becoming the generation 2.0 versions. And last year, we have released the 4.0 versions. And recently, we have just published the 4.50 and also 4.50 versions. Based on these large language models, we have inherited our powers in research and development. So while these technologies can inherit these technologies in the large language models, we can apply it to the R&D field. It's not only the large language models in the 4.50s. It's not only just the language models. It has a dynamic field. It's also including some of the dynamic and also attention mask, and also the heterogeneous experts as well as the spatial temperature dimensions. While we are releasing these large language models, we are basically doing the same model testing and benchmark test. We can also see here that generally speaking, it is very similar to the widely applicable data sets that we are using. And generally speaking, we are working with other different large language models which has a very advantageous position. So the above mentioned is the results. Here is one example. I don't know how many of you can see these photos and can tell that whether this photo can be dynamically by recognizing by our engines about these multimodal technologies. We have the e-vehicles. It is number 5 e-vehicles here. It has a very accurate recognition. And we need in-depth thinking about this part. And we also launched the smart agent technology. Smart agent technology is a combination between the fast thinking and slow thinking, which is inspired by the book Thinking Fast and Slow. So the system itself, the idea itself, is actually based on the time, and is also corresponding with the system 2 and system 1. And we came up with these thinking models about its understanding, planning, reflections, and reasonings. It's also going to be very helpful in our decision-making process. And in these thinking models, we have introduced some of the new technologies. For example, the augmented learnings, and also the progressive-based thinking chains and action chains. There's not only these thinking chains and action chains, but it also have a diverse and unified rewarding system. So here is one example. I'd like to show you one example for the productivities of artificial intelligence. So this is the graph demonstrating the way of thinking. You can also see that this is a thinking process where it is demonstrating the actual processes of the product. And it also includes the relevant information about how it develops. There are some of the conflicts of the informations and also overlapping of the informations. It's also trying to use its own way of thinking to address it. And it's also using another tool, which is the code, to generate the final graphs. Here, I also want to say that it's not only including these thinking chains, but also including the action chains. We are not only finding the data here, but we are also using some of the tools. LLM have a better technology. It also can be widely used. It's also going to be beneficial for many different households. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your kind introduction. You have introduced the latest progress of Baidu. And these practices are quite inspiring. And listening to these practices is also very important. I think this is laying a very important foundations. The third reporter we are welcoming today is Mr. Li Dahai. His topic today is about accelerating artificial intelligence reform and building an ultra-strong side-based brain. Respectable Party Secretary Zhang, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Ding Yang, I'm really honored to be once again standing on the podium of 2025 Zhongguancun Forum to report to you the latest progress. LLM brings a lot of technologies. Recently, we've been asked a lot of questions. One is that the side-based AI, the end-based AI. Some of the friends ask me that I have another friend who is also doing the end-based AI. What is going to be the differences between your AI and their AI? Is it going to be a cloud-based AI and also a user-based AI? And for the cloud-based AI, it is actually calling that this is an algorithm-based AI referring to the end. And for the end-based AI, what is going to be its values? Since it's operating on the end, it needs to apply on the end. So the end-based AI is also going to have a huge values in terms of protecting its privacy. Secondly, because its reasoning is not only relying on the internet, one of the major features of it is its reliabilities. It does not rely on the network. So even if it's been connected to the conditions, even if network is weak or there's actually no network, you can also deploy it in the net field. So here in our company, in the past 1 year, in 2024, we are actually focusing on the major strategic challenges of the side-based AI. In 2024, we came up with our first versions of the side-based canons. These side-based canoes include 7 different canoes, including the muscle models and the multimodal large language models, because the end-based models needs to be deeply integrated with the end-based chip in order to generate a very good algorithms. So this is also going to generate the lowest power generations. A lot of equipment needs to be operating on the powers of batteries. The battery supplying is limited, so that's the reason why a lot of it should be relying on the lower power consumptions. Up until today, we have made a lot of influences. But here, we want to notice that in January this year, we are launching the side-based AI. It is the global first multiple front large language models. This is the pure end-based full large language models. It is also a product which can be deployed on the robots. For these robots, it is going to become their brains. Then it can let the robots not only relying on the network but has a very smooth operations. The second question is a question that we are quite looking forward to. This year, agent becomes a quite popular word. In March this year, we also launched an agent framework, where China becomes the pioneers. And so there are some of the community feedback which is saying that why you are still doing the models instead of agents, because agents is going to be the future. We are LLM focusing on the agent. Actually, from this perspective, LLM is just a way of saying. No matter for what we call it tomatoes or tomatoes, no matter what kind of way do we call it potatoes, from our perspective, it is the same thing. In this year, no matter in the year 2024 or 2025, as we are moving into the future, the future development of AI is not about model itself. It's still about model itself. It's not going to be about workflow. So from our perspective, as long as we are working and deploying on the end side, it's going to be an agent. We can actually collect the feedback to all of us and combining it, and with this scenario being specifically integrated. In the process of integration, apart from these models, we still need to do some of the model-based applications. For example, for the end side-based large language models, we need to combine with some of the functions, including the RLTs. We are going to automatically deploy these functions together with our end-side models. We are going to call it a brain at the terminal end. You can also see that here in these brains, it has good combinations between the different brains. So here, just like we are going to announce the integrations of our product, which is called the CBM Go. And the CBM Go becomes an ultra assistant for all of us. And it's also going to be deployed on the different ends, including the vehicles. And we can also put the CPM Go's on these blocks. In this pure end-based product, it eases our way of thinking about the trinities. So what do we call about the trinity design? The first one is about the sensorings, and then the make decisions based on our perceptions. After the decision making, we need to actually take an action based on these decision makings. We are going to let the CPM go to working in this intelligent cabinet. The whole services is not only included in the comprehensive services. It's not about passively responding to the end users, but we can also provide some of the active services. For example, in the sensors, we can feel that the driver's car is also operating and is also going to be passing a construction site. We can, using some of the external cabinet cameras to remind the drivers that lying ahead is going to be a construction site. So the drivers can turn on the internal circulations in order to avoid the dust and also the particles from the construction site. For example, if there are two kids sitting at the back seats about the vehicles, right? We need to avoid these situations because the two kids are sitting at the back seat. It is about the active perceptions to the passive avoidance. So this is actually bringing the shedding some light to the users. This is a very good experience that we can think about. Just as I've been saying, that it is sensory based. It does not need a network. So for the users, the personal and private information and feelings that they get can be filled. And these informations does not need the workers to do and to deal with it. And they are not going to expose their informations. Let's see a very small video clips. So here I'm quite proud to announce that the CPM Go, the super assistant of CPM Go, is going to be launched on the top platforms of vehicles, and we are going to be working with the 3 partners. And among the top 5 sellers of these vehicle companies, 3 of them has already achieved the corporations. And we are announcing that at the Q3 of this year, it is going to be launched into the market. We've been working already with the Shanghai Volkswagen, Shanghai Chang'an, Great Wall, and Shanghai Vehicle for collaborations. I want to thank our partners. And for the product itself, I want to give an extra introduction. That is to say, for the perceptions, it's always on a GUI agent. As long as we have a perceptions of the environment, the objective environment. We believe the objective environment is also the user's instructions, and user's prompt is a part of the environment. We can feel the clear instructions of the users. So here I'm going to give you an example. These are what we are doing, generally speaking. We have a very good concept of environmental protection. One of my friends is working on the ant trainings, ant forest. In this environment, if he's not very good in collecting the fruits by himself, what should he do? He can send a prompt to CPM Go, and we can use it to replace the users and change it into the CPM and to collect the apples. And with a very simple instructions, one instruction is representing one complicated scenarios. This kind of understandings is actually based on the visual signals. When the app versions of the users can be updated, it's not going to be application-based. It's actually working on the end terminals. The perception is performed at the pure end, and this information can be protected. Currently, our assistant is capable of supporting 9 categories of the product, and is also supportive to 26 different applications. And we are also doing a very good generalization capacities of the large language models. We did a very interesting experiment. So while we are doing it, in the English large language models, naturally speaking, we are actually using it on some of these English-based applications, for example, the WhatsApp or Amazon's. We are monitoring and manipulating it to fulfill our missions. This is our abilities of the generalizations and the LLM and large language models. To wrap it up here, the CPM Go becomes a very important personal assistant. We can change it into a personal-based assistant. It can be working on the smart cabins and in the smartphones and smart brains and to perceive the environment. And we can help the users to better serve the user's instruction. Moving into the future, it's going to be a smart brain into the user-based self-learning brains. And at its back, the inspiration we get is what we want to introduce in the Zhongguancun forum. And this year, the LLM's scaling law, because of the large quantities of the pre-training models, has entered into the training processes. Its training laws has worked into the smooth stage where everything has become a plateau. We are really honored to see this development of the pre-trainings, because the scaling laws of the pre-trainings is representing the thinking method for the LLM. And for these 2 models, we are also thinking about what we are actually doing in terms of the scaling laws. We can also see a very important patterns. And that is to see for every 100 days under the dominance of the scaling laws, these large language models' knowledge density is going to be doubled. And also its capacity about its abilities is also going to be doubled. And its capacity is going to be shrunk by 1 time. This is one of the major information we get. We believe that by the rules of this law, no matter how good the model is, our models is going to be brighter. And with the knowledge density laws of LLM, its knowledge density is going to be lower, and we can deploy it in the more and more ends. We are also looking forward to be working with more and more partners and contributing our fair shares in the development of large language models, and combine it with our models and our user scenarios, and locate it itself with our partners. Thank you. That is my sharing.
好的，已开启拍摄模式。照片拍摄完成，已发送。前方有动物，已为您自动降低车速。如果想要下车，别忘了放在后座的相机包和水杯哦。已经连续开了4小时车了，需要在前方树下休息吗？ 昨天世界杯半决赛精彩瞬间已准备好。
今晚特别想看星星。
好的，正在为您寻找远离市区、有水电和 WiFi 的露营地。成功筛选，正在为您导航。已为您上好儿童的锁。
我可以抓到极光吗？
宝贝坐好，手不要向外伸哦。其实极光还有红色、紫色的哦。
好，我们最后一课实际体验了小钢炮的最新的进展啊。
Finally, we can have a glimpse of the latest technologies of CPM Go.
端侧模型结合在一起，未来呢，我们会有
This is a very good combination about the inside models.
大家这个界面。我相信大家都用过 AIGC。
I also believe that all of us has been using this artificial
相
intelligence.
信绝大多数人可能都有一个
And I think that all of you are using the AI paintings, right?
生成这个，实际上最后拿出来的东西呢，
We believe that people may have generative AIs. The generative AIs might not be listening to our word.
最后一个呢
You might not be satisfactory. But for these questions, it can be solved today.
是声数
And we are going to invite the final reporters today.
可控技术。下面呢，我们就有请清华大学人工智能研究院副院长、声数科技的创始人兼首席科学家朱军教授发布多模态。
Professor Zhu Jun from Tsinghua University Artificial Intelligence Institute to address us.
尊敬的各位领导大家好。
Respectable leaders, distinguished guests, good afternoon. I've been attending the Zhongguancun Forum for many times. Today, once again, I'm here.
骚扰的这个进展给我们带来的一个
In 2024, at this time, everybody was worrying about the rapid development of Sora.
上率先发布了对标骚扰
And we have launched our own versions about the
中文的这个
video large language models working on the video side.
我们最新的一些
And today we have fulfilled its iterations, and I'm here to report to you our latest progress, especially in the high quality
一个历程。
collaborational information. We are going to take a back about the video large language models that we developed last year.
和说在
After its generations in April last year, we were announcing that some of the friends from the media noticed that you have not made any predictions or announcement.
那这基本上是认为是中国是首个
I believe that this is going to be a very important major breakthrough in China.
是全球第一个直接可以
China is the large language models in this field with the longest persistencies, higher consistencies, and higher
过
dynamics.
程中，我们做到了
In the later on development,
重大
we make a lot of breakthroughs.
进展和这个突破。然后比如到6月份的时候，我们做到了一件可以
And
生成
in
这个
April,
32
in July that year, for example, we have become the first one to generate a 32-second videos. And it's not only a generation of the videos, it's also a 3D dynamism.
上线去服务
We call it Worst D, and in July that year, our worst models can be launched online and serving the wide range of the users.
生成的可控性，
The users
现在这个
can be working on this
一
field,
致性上，
and we want to emphasizing its controllabilities of the user models.
像关系
You can actually type in some of the characters, and also in these videos, it's also demonstrating the users' understandings about these items. You can control this skill, for example, through the command or through the prompt.
我们一直应该在视频模型
And we've been working a long time in this
9
journey.
月份的时候，我们上线了叫单主体
In September last year, we have launched another major
为了
milestones,
这个人物的形象，我们可以
which has surpassing the consistencies of single subject. In terms of single subject, it's also surpassing the image of the human characters.
来去对他关心的对象来
For
去做
example,
各种的可控性的
The
手
writers
使得
is
这个
working on these recognitions and fields. And these creators can care about its controllabilities,
然后
making the
在
content
这个
highly
11月份的
consistent.
时候我们发布了 1.5 的版本
In July,
我们是首
in
次
November last year, we have launched the 1.5 versions of it.
涌现出来的
In the 1.5 versions, we have discovered the emerging of this process for the first time for these multiple agents.
输入比如2个主体
We are also calling it the content of the videos. Here we can see that.
可控的这种生成
That is to say, we allow the input of the users
那这给
to
我们
input the agents plus the environment.
用户的话其实带来了很大的一个
And for the users,
可以让他去更加
this
好地
gives
去
them a wide range of the freedom for their
然后
content
另外是
creation.
今年的1月份我们发布了 2.0 的这个
In January this year,
2.0的版本实际上我们当时
we launched the 2.0 version,
模型要做到
where we have emphasized
那这个实际上
the
和后来
actual
大火的这个
scenarios.
实际上是非
The
常
video models means
在
deepseek
视频
models.
里面一直
It's also very cost effective. And in these deepseek models, it's actually very suppressive. That is to say, in these videos, in this video generation processes, always emphasize the high-quality generations as well as the efficiency generations, and achieving a very good balance between the efficiency, cost, and quality. We can generate some of the videos within 10 seconds, and in the cost, every time it can be lowered into 4 seconds. It's also included that on the product side, we are going to launch a new series of functions. For example, the subject laboratories and template laboratories. Our product could make the users better as they want to create some of the product relations, and also have 2 forms. One is servicing the SaaS terminals, and we also seeing a very rapid growth in the users in this time. So in terms of these users, we are using the fastest speed to outpace the thousands of the registered users. And for the C-end terminals, we are also trying to serve these users in another format. It is about the B platform MaaS users. We are using the APIs, including fine-tuning services, to better serve the top-tier enterprises. Now the industry covers the televisions, TV series, the pan-entertainment, and also the culture-based tourism. In the process of the video development, we always have a time or the procedures of the perceptions. We need to understand it one by one, or the generative model's randomness, or the collisions of the large language models, or its own frequencies. How can we achieve the controllabilities in terms of the consistencies? We should always have one core goal, that is to see from the feedback of the users, we need to get a very important appeal. Today we are here to announce the latest Video Q1 model. On behalf of our team, I'm going to show you a very small video clips for the Video Q1. Each one of these shots is being generated by the artificial intelligence. It's of a higher equipment, of a higher qualities, and compared with 5.0, today actually enables these videos become controllable. Let's look at how can we control this video. First, we need to create the best positions or the locations. This is where we are at the industry today. For example, on the right side, in the generations of the videos, it might be flying, and it is also difficult to control the path. You can use the language or the prompt to control the videos. Today, in this QE model, we can achieve a very good result. And in these large language models, we can also generate the multiple positions and its consistencies. On another side, we can perfectly follow the logic. And in the creating of the videos, one difficult part is that we need to talk about the motion trajectories of the layouts. Similarly, for example, in this cafe environment, there is an old man working towards him. In these current situations, we also have the similar phenomena where every pattern is going to be flying around. And I also think that these kind of motions can be controllable. This is a multiple entity controlling patterns. And we can also figure that multiple agent is going to be where we are going to releasing first. We are also thinking that if we want users to do it, the scenario is going to be very difficult. And it's actually demonstrating a new generation of models where we can achieve the multiple agent. Here we have 5 agents deployed. This is actually summarizations of the video content. This is a control generation of the video content, and it's also one of the major directions for the multi-model based models. Our generations has always pointed to one direction, and in this model, we also released the controllable phenomena of these videos. It's not only about the generations of the videos, it's also where we can use the source to generate the audios. And in the audio generations, for example, you can see that you can set up the demonstrating scenarios. For example, 2 to 5 seconds at 6 to 8 seconds. What kind of scenario is it going to be generating? You can listen to this effect. And on the left side, it is going to be the effect. This is the Q1 models in the office scenarios. And at the same time, the future development means that for the video generation, it can covers a wide range of these areas. The coverage is very broad. On the other side, we can do a very enriching, more multiple modeled, high efficient video generations, and its video models is beyond language. We learned the spatial intelligence of time and space, where we can deploy it in a very accurate times of the time and space. It's a very important major directions, and we are working toward the real physical world. And the real physical world is going to be the starting point of our visions for starting the large language models. I have just launched the video Q1. I'm looking forward for a better quality new versions of our project. Thank you so much for listening.
可控多模态生成。下面呢，我们就进入本次论坛的最后一个议程，